Is bridging finance expensive? Hi, it's Kevin Wright here, back with another property finance video. Going to be drilling down into that question. Is bridging finance expensive? And you may get a surprise, so hang around. Now, bridging or bridging finance, whenever someone mentions that, it's normally accompanied by a sharp intake of breath and, oh, that's expensive. But is it? Well, I've been brokering bridging finance for well over 10 years. Now, a decade ago, the average rate for bridging was 1.5% a month. Roll forward 10 years, it's probably about half of that now. Not every loan, but 0.75% is not an unusual rate of interest on bridging. So if you still think bridging is expensive, it was twice as expensive 10 years ago. So what's caused that amazing drop in rate? Increased competition. There are many more bridgers operating in the market in the UK now than there were 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, really. Now, if you've got a big pile of cash, you certainly don't need bridging. But if you want to recycle your cash and do the buy, refurb, refinance philosophy, then bridging finance is an integral part of that. Now, if it's used unintelligently, where it ends up costing a lot more than it should have done, well, okay, it could be expensive. But used correctly and intelligently, it's a highly efficient, flexible tool. Now, there are a number of people really shouldn't be using bridging. Let's look at who they are. 1, people with big piles of cash. They don't need to use bridging. 2, people on very good salaries that can, from the excess residual earnings of their job, save up a 25% deposit as easily as every time they want to add another property into their portfolio. 3, anyone that isn't fussed about making a big profit on any property they buy or about pulling their cash out. They're just happy to sink some cash in there as a 25% deposit and leave it there. So also that's anyone that doesn't need to recycle their cash out of a property, have to leave it in there. And possibly someone that's got a pristine 999 credit record. Now, if you don't tick any of those boxes, then using bridging could be a really useful way to build some wealth into your bank account. So maybe you can get to be one of those people that doesn't need bridging anymore. So the big question that many people have is, how much does bridging cost? Well, it's a bit like saying, how much does a car cost? Because there's an enormous variation in the price of cars, with many different factors determining that price. So 3 factors that are going to influence the cost is 1, the property you want to buy. 2, what do you want to do with it? 3, your current situation. There's something missing in your life, and I know what it is. It's subscribing to my YouTube channel. You know you're going to feel better. Subscribe. Click the link and the dingy belly thing and the Instagram. That feels so much better, doesn't it? But let's look at the typical cost bases that would make up pretty much every bridging loan. Arrangement fees. Bridgers like to charge an arrangement fee, much like a mortgage lender, and it's going to be a percentage of the loan, often 2% in many cases. Secondly, monthly interest. There's a bunch of contributory factors that are going to influence what rate is charged. Location of the property, type of property, value of the property, size of loan and loan to value. But the majority of bridging loans are going to be not less than 0.5 and not more than 1%. It'll be somewhere in those 2 parameters. Exit fees. And exit fees used to be charged on almost all bridging loans going back 5 or 10 years ago. Today, with increased competition, more bridges in the market, exit fees are pretty much history. Occasionally, if it's a very complex bridge, then you might find an exit fee being charged. But here's a watchword. If there's an exit fee on your bridging, could be dealing with the wrong bridger, and there's a better deal with a different bridger. Now, you'll pay for a survey or valuation from the bridger's valuer. You'll also pay the bridger's legal costs, because usually, for the majority of bridges, there is not dual representation as there is with mortgages. You have your solicitor, they have their solicitor. You meet their bill as well as your own. Now, the term of the loan. Bridgers don't set the term of the loan, you do. And the term of the loan should be with sufficient contingency time built in when you believe you're going to be in a position to give the bridger back their money. Most bridging loans are up to 12 months. A few would go beyond that, up to 18 months. And most bridging loans have also got a minimum loan period, which for some bridges is 1 month, for other bridges is 3 months. Now, bridges are used to working fast because they fund extensively purchases at auction, where you usually only get 28 days. So the bridging loan can be agreed in a few days, but the legal work takes longer. How much longer? Determined by your choice of solicitor. So before you use a solicitor for bridging, you need to make sure that they're experienced in bridging, because it's a different conveyancing process to mortgages. Now, no single bridging lender is going to be the best lender for every type of deal. So although it's good to build up a relationship with a bridger, keep with one bridger for every type of deal, probably not getting the best value every time around. All bridges have a minimum loan, minimum transaction value. Sometimes that's 250,000, often it's 150,000, but there are also a few around that are lower than that. Now, if you've never actually done a bridging loan before, there's a huge mountain to climb. It's a very steep learning curve, and getting it wrong could cost you an awful lot more than it would otherwise do. So using a bridging broker could actually be a good cost saving and keep you safe. Now, specifically use the words bridging broker and not mortgage broker, because most mortgage brokers have a very limited knowledge of bridging. So someone like ourselves that's brokered hundreds of bridging loans, literally hundreds, stretching back over more than a 10-year period, it's going to help to keep you safe. So it's good to work with bridging lenders that aren't as picky as mortgage lenders about you, your credit history, your income, the property, the use you're going to put it to, or the condition you're going to buy it in. So there we are, that's a walkthrough to the question, is bridging expensive? It depends on what you want to use it for, as I hope you found out. Found this useful? I'll be back again next week with another video. See you then.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.